Imagine this, a broken old man, barefoot in rags, limps into a saloon full of killers. 2 seconds of silence. Then laughter explodes. But his eyes? They've seen hell and come back. What if those eyes belonged to a legend everyone thought was dead? Welcome to Story Sphere, where ghosts ride again. Nobody knew where he came from. The old man appeared like a ghost through the dusty streets of Redemption Valley, barefoot and broken, leaning on a twisted piece of wood that barely worked as a cane. His clothes were nothing but rags. Layers of torn fabric hanging from his bony frame like death itself wore him down to the last thread. When he stepped into the Red Dust Saloon, the whole room went silent for exactly 2 seconds. Then the laughter exploded. 3 men sat at the corner table, boots up, cigars lit, guns gleaming on their hips. They called themselves the Iron Brothers. Deacon, the leader, was a tall man with a scar running from his eye to his jaw. His brothers, Cole and Mason, were younger, meaner, hungry for blood and reputation. Well, Deacon said, standing up slowly. Who let this corpse walk in here? The crowd roared. Cole spat on the floor. Mason pulled his revolver and pointed it at the old man, laughing like it was the funniest thing he'd ever done. Bang! He fired into the ceiling. Dust rained down. Dance for us, old man. Maybe we'll toss you a coin. But the old man didn't move. He didn't flinch. He just stood there staring at them with eyes that didn't belong to a beggar. They were cold, calm, and worst of all, familiar. Deacon stopped laughing. His hand moved slowly toward his gun because somewhere deep in his memory, he'd seen those eyes before. And every man who had was already dead. Hold up. You feel that chill? That's the moment everything changes. Before Story Sphere reveals the bloodiest comeback in the West, smash that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment with your country. Let's see where legends are born tonight. The old man didn't ask for anything. He walked slowly to the bar, each step deliberate, each breath measured. The bartender, a nervous man named Caleb, poured him water without being asked. His hand shook. That'll be, Caleb started. The old man placed something on the counter. A single gold coin. Not just any coin. A Confederate Marshal's token stamped 1869, the kind that only lawmen from the bloodiest wars carried. The kind that hadn't been seen in over 20 years. Deacon's smile died. He squinted at the coin, then at the old man. Where did you steal that? I didn't, the old man said quietly. His voice was gravel and smoke. I earned it. Cole stood up fast, chair scraping loud against the wooden floor. You calling yourself a lawman, old man, in our town? Mason cocked his revolver. Click, click. This is going to be fun. But before anyone moved, the old man spoke again. My name used to mean something back when men like you still wet the bed at night, too scared to close your eyes. He turned slowly, his cane tapping the floor. They called me the Reaper of Red Canyon. The entire saloon went dead silent. Even the piano player stopped. Someone dropped a glass. It shattered. Deacon's face went pale. That's a ghost story. Ghosts don't bleed. But you will. Mason laughed nervously and fired. Bang. The bullet tore through the air, aimed right at the old man's chest. But he wasn't there anymore. He moved like smoke, stepping aside, letting the bullet smash into the bar. In the same motion, his cane swung upward, cracking Mason across the wrist. The gun flew from his hand. Bang! Bang! Cole fired twice. Both missed. The old man ducked low, swept Cole's legs out from under him with the cane, and before he hit the ground, snatched the revolver from the air. Now he had the gun, and Deacon realized too late what kind of man he was facing. 23 years ago, Red Canyon was hell on earth. A town controlled by outlaws, slavers, and gun runners. No law, no mercy, just blood and gold. The territorial governor sent in 12 marshals to clean it up. Only one came back alive. His name was Elias Crow. They said he walked into that canyon with nothing but 2 revolvers and a death wish. They said he killed 40 men in 3 days. They said the last outlaw boss begged for mercy and Crow shot him between the eyes anyway. They said after it was over, Crow burned his badge and disappeared into the desert. Nobody ever saw him again, until today. Deacon stared at the old man holding the gun and his voice cracked. You're supposed to be dead. I was for a long time. He kept the gun aimed steady at Deacon's chest. You boys made a mistake. You thought this town was yours. It's not. It belongs to the people you've been bleeding dry. Mason, still on the ground holding his wrist, spat blood. You're just one old man. There's 3 of us and 30 more outside. Elias smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. Good. I was hoping for a challenge. Bang. Deacon drew fast, faster than most men could blink, but Elias was faster. His shot hit Deacon's gun, ripping it out of his hand before he could fire. Deacon screamed, clutching his shattered fingers. Cole scrambled for the door. Bang! 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 Elias fired 3 shots into the door frame, boxing him in. You run, I'll hunt you. You stay, maybe you live. The saloon erupted. People dove under tables. The Iron Brothers' men burst through the doors, guns drawn. 10 of them, 15, 20, all aiming at one old man. Elias didn't move. He just reloaded slow and calm like he had all the time in the world. I gave you boys a chance to walk away. You didn't take it. He cocked the hammer. Click. Now it's my turn. Bang. 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 The saloon exploded into chaos. Gunfire ripped through the air like thunder. Elias dove behind the bar as bullets tore through bottles, wood, and glass. Whiskey sprayed everywhere. Caleb, the bartender, screamed and crawled toward the back door. Elias moved like a shadow. He rolled to the side, came up shooting. Bang! One outlaw dropped, clutching his shoulder. Bang! Another fell. Leg shattered. He wasn't killing them. Not yet. He wanted them to remember this. Spread out, Deacon yelled, still clutching his ruined hand. Flank him. 5 men rushed the left side. Elias grabbed a chair and hurled it. It smashed into the first man's face, sending him sprawling. He fired twice more. Bang! Bang! 2 down. The other 3 hesitated. That hesitation cost them. Elias vaulted over the bar, landing in a crouch. He grabbed Mason by the collar and used him as a shield. Drop your guns or he dies. Shoot him. Mason screamed. Shoot. Bang. Elias shot the gun out of the nearest outlaw's hand. The man yelped and stumbled backward. The others froze. I said drop them. Slowly, reluctantly, the outlaws lowered their weapons. The whole saloon was a war zone now. Broken tables, shattered mirrors, blood pooling on the floorboards. But Elias wasn't even breathing hard. He shoved Mason forward into his brothers. You wanted to see the Reaper? Here I am. He walked toward them, gun raised. Red Canyon, 1869. Your daddy was there, wasn't it, Deacon? Deacon's eyes widened. How did you? I am Samuel Kane, leader of the Canyon Syndicate. I put a bullet in his skull. You got his eyes and his cowardice. Deacon's face twisted with rage. You killed my father. He deserved worse. Bang. Deacon lunged, pulling a hidden knife, but Elias sidestepped, grabbed his arm, and twisted. The knife clattered to the floor. Then Elias pistol-whipped him across the face. Deacon collapsed. This ends now or I end you. Outside the streets of Redemption Valley were empty. People watched from behind curtains, too afraid to move. The Iron Brothers had ruled this town for 5 years. They took what they wanted, killed who they wanted. Nobody fought back. Nobody dared, until today. Inside the saloon, Elias stood over the 3 brothers. All of them were on the ground now, bleeding, broken, humiliated. Their men had scattered, some ran, some hid. A few lay groaning on the floor, nursing gunshot wounds. Elias reloaded his revolver slowly, methodically. Click, 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 click. 6 bullets. You boys have 2 choices, he said quietly. Leave this town tonight and never come back. Or stay and I'll make sure Red Canyon looks like a church picnic compared to what I do to you. Cole spat blood. You can't fight all of us. We got 50 men in this territory. Then send them. Elias holstered his gun. I'll be waiting. He turned and walked toward the door. Nobody stopped him. Nobody moved. As he stepped outside into the fading sunlight, people began to emerge. First 1, then 2, then a dozen. They stared at him like he was a ghost made flesh. An old woman stepped forward. Her name was Margaret. She'd lost her husband to the Iron Brothers 2 years ago. Is it true? She asked, her voice shaking. Are you really him, the Reaper? Elias looked at her for a moment, his hard expression softened. I was a long time ago. Then help us, she pleaded. Please, they've taken everything from us. He shook his head. I'm too old for this. No, you're not. A young voice spoke up. A kid, maybe 16, stepped forward. His name was Jacob. You just took down 20 men by yourself. That's not old. That's legend. That night, the Iron Brothers regrouped in their hideout, a burned-out ranch 5 miles outside town. Deacon sat in a chair, his hand wrapped in bloody bandages, rage burning in his eyes. Cole paced back and forth. Mason cleaned his guns, muttering curses. We can't let this stand, Cole said. If word gets out that one old man beat us, we're done. Nobody will fear us anymore. I know, Deacon growled. He stood up, wincing. So we don't just kill him, we destroy him. We burn that town to the ground. Every man, woman, and child, we make an example so brutal that nobody ever crosses us again. Mason grinned. Now you're talking. Get the boys, Deacon ordered. All of them. I don't care if they're drunk, asleep, or halfway to Mexico. I want every gun we have ready by dawn. What about the Reaper? Cole asked. Deacon's smile was cold. Let him come. I'll kill him myself. Back in Redemption Valley, Elias sat alone in the old church at the edge of town. He hadn't stepped inside a church in over 20 years. Not since the canyon. Not since he became something less than a man and more like a weapon. Jacob found him there sitting in the front pew, staring at the broken cross on the wall. You all right? The kid asked. No, Elias said honestly. They're coming back, aren't they? Yes. Then we need to be ready. Elias turned to look at him. You don't have to fight, kid. This isn't your war. Yes, it is. This is my town, my home. I'm not running. Elias studied him for a long moment. Then he nodded. All right. But if you're going to fight, you're going to do it my way. No heroics, no mistakes. You listen to every word I say or you die. Understood? Jacob swallowed hard. Understood. Good. Then let's get to work. We've got until sunrise. The sun rose blood red over Redemption Valley. Elias stood in the middle of Main Street alone. Behind him, the townspeople watched from windows, rooftops, and doorways. They had armed themselves with whatever they could find. Hunting rifles, old revolvers, even pitchforks. Jacob stood beside Elias, a pistol in his hand. His hands shook, but his jaw was set. How many are coming? 50, maybe more. And it's just us. No, Elias nodded toward the rooftops. Look. Jacob looked up. Men and women crouched behind cover, guns ready. Old Samuel the blacksmith. Young Maria the school teacher. Even Margaret the widow held a shotgun with both hands. They're not soldiers, Jacob said. Neither was I. But they're fighting for something that makes them dangerous. Then the sound came. Hoofbeats, dozens of them. The Iron Brothers rode in at the head of a small army. Outlaws, gunslingers, mercenaries. Deacon's face was twisted with hate. Cole and Mason flanked him, guns drawn. They stopped 50 feet away. The two sides stared at each other. Last chance, old man. Walk away or die. Elias didn't move. You first. Deacon laughed. You think you can beat all of us? You're insane. Probably. Elias shifted his stance. His hand hovered over his gun. Bang. Elias drew faster than lightning. His bullet hit Deacon's shoulder, spinning him off his horse. The entire outlaw army froze in shock. Then all hell broke loose. Bang, 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 bang. Gunfire erupted from every direction. The townspeople opened fire from the rooftops. Outlaws screamed and scattered. Horses reared. Men fell. Blood sprayed across the dirt. Elias moved through the chaos like a ghost. He fired, reloaded, fired again. Bang, bang, bang. 3 outlaws down. Jacob fought beside him, clumsy but brave. Hold the line, Elias roared. Don't let them through. The battle raged for what felt like hours, but was only minutes. Bodies littered the street. The Iron Brothers' army was broken, scattered, fleeing into the desert. Cole lay dead in the dirt. Mason had surrendered on his knees, hands up. And Deacon. He crawled toward his horse, blood pouring from his wounds, desperation in his eyes. Elias walked toward him slowly, gun in hand. Please, Deacon gasped. Please, I'll leave. I swear you'll never see me again. Elias stood over him. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he holstered his gun. Go, but if I ever hear your name again, I'll finish this. Deacon didn't wait. He dragged himself onto his horse and rode away, broken and beaten. The townspeople emerged from cover, cheering, crying, hugging each other. They'd won. They were free. Jacob walked up to Elias covered in dust and smoke. We did it. You did it, Elias corrected. I just showed you how. So what now? You going to stay? Help us rebuild. Elias looked at the kid, then at the town, then at the sunrise painting the sky gold and red. No, he said quietly. This was your fight. Now it's your town. But we need you. No, you don't. Elias put a hand on Jacob's shoulder. You're stronger than you think. All of you are. You just needed someone to remind you. He turned and started walking away from the town, away from the bodies, away from the war. Wait, Jacob shouted. Where are you going? Elias didn't look back. Somewhere quiet. I've had enough gunfights for one lifetime. And just like that, the Reaper of Red Canyon disappeared into the desert once more. A legend walking into the sunrise. The town's people would tell his story for generations. The old man who saved them, the ghost who came back from the dead to give them hope. But Elias Crow, he just wanted peace. And finally, maybe he'd earned it. And that, my friends, is the legend of Elias Crow, the Reaper of Red Canyon. The old man who walked into a saloon humiliated and broken, but walked out as the nightmare every outlaw feared. This story reminds us that it's never too late to stand up, to fight back, to reclaim what was stolen from us. Sometimes legends never die. They just wait for the right moment to return. If this story moved you, if it gave you chills, if you felt every bullet and every word, do me a favor. Smash that like button, subscribe to Story Sphere, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next legendary tale. And comment below telling us what country you're listening from. We love hearing from our global family. And hey, if you know someone who needs to hear this story, someone who's been knocked down but refuses to stay down, share this with them. Let them know that even legends start as underdogs. We've got more stories coming your way. Tales of courage, revenge, redemption, and the wild, untamed spirit of the Old West. Until next time, keep your aim true and your heart brave. This is Story Sphere signing off. Stay legendary, my friends. See you on the next trail.